We are recording, but shouldn't we be started now or? Yes, there's the participants.
Welcome to everyone that is joining us. We will begin in a few minutes. Maybe let's give it just one more minute and then we can get started.
Amanda, would you like me to start? Good day, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this kickoff meeting for the projects funded in the collaborative research action towards sustainability of soils and groundwater for society. We're very excited to bring this group together today to network, to learn, and to share some information about the Belmont Forum award process and opportunities for added value through cross-project engagement. I want to recognize the funders that made these projects possible. The São Paulo State Funding Agency, FAPESP, the Ministry of Science and Technology of Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, Allonvie from France, ANR from France, CNR in Italy, JST in Japan, QNRF in Qatar, RFBR in Russia, KAUST in Saudi Arabia, and NSF in the United States. Thank you all for your contributions to this call, and I would like to turn it over to Amanda and Megan to run through some Zoom tutorials to facilitate our discussion today. So Amanda and Megan.
Yep, I will do that real quick. If you can go to, there we go, perfect. All right, hi everybody, I'm Megan Postma. I am on the Belmont Forum Secretariat. Just gonna go quickly, minute, 2 minutes through some Zoom functions just so that the meeting will go smoothly. So as you can see on the screen right here, it should mirror the bar that you have at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So you can see there's a mute and unmute button. Please keep yourself muted unless you have asked a question or raised your hand, and we will call on you. There is also a video on off button. You can keep your video on if you would like, but if it ruins your bandwidth, that's okay to leave it off. And then moving over, there's also a chat button. And so we can use this chat today, but we also have a document that we're providing that we would like you guys to record questions in some of the breakout sessions. We will put that in the chat for you soon. And then the other important button on the bottom of your bar is a little smiley face that says reactions. If you click on that, there'll be a little hand. And if you ever have a question, comment, concern, or anything, press that hand button and you will be moved to the top of the participant list. So we'll know that you have a question. We will call on you. Okay, next slide, Linda. Okay, we're also going to have breakout rooms today. And so we're just going to automatically assign you all to breakout rooms when the time comes. So you'll see a box that pops up that says the host is inviting you to join breakout room 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be. Just click join and you will automatically be moved over. And then when it's time for that breakout room to end, you can either you'll see a box pop up that says the room will close in 30 or 60 seconds, depending on what we set it at. Just click the return to main session button, or you can just leave it go and you will automatically be moved over at the end. Okay, next one, Amanda. Oh, sorry, there's also an ask for help button in the breakout room if you need it. We will have moderators in each room, so you won't need that. We'll be able to help you within them. Okay, and then the last fun part, there's also whiteboards. And these are ways that you guys can actually type, communicate to each other within the actual Zoom function. So for here, we're gonna practice this on our, if you wanna move to the next screen, Amanda, I will tell people how to get it up. So there'll be a little view options button at the top where it says you are viewing Amanda Shore's screen in green. Right next to that in a little black bar should say view options. If you click on that and you toggle down, you'll have an annotation bar. And when that pops up, you should see things like a drawing pencil, a text box, a stamp. And what we're gonna have you do is make sure everyone can pull that up. We're gonna have you put right on the screen right now, a stamp, a circle, a word, anything that indicates where you're from. And I see Erica just put a star where she is, so perfect. So if I can have you guys all participate in this. And this is a good time also to practice the hand function. If you can't figure out how to pull this bar up, or if you need any help, just click the reaction button, raise your hand, and we'll be able to help you. I see we have a couple raised hands. Minhyu, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Can you not figure out how to get the box up?
Yes, sorry, I cannot.
There should be, do you see the black view options button at the top of your screen? It's a little rectangle right next to the giant green box that says you're viewing Amanda Shore's screen.
So,
roll your mouse up to the top of your screen and then it will appear.
Thank you, Bill.
yes, so there are options.
Yes, and if you toggle down on the down caret there, you'll be able to see an annotate. And if you click on the annotate, the little box should pop up.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's good to know that some people have to actually toggle their mouse over that area to see the button. All right, this looks great. If everyone has participated, should we move on? Oh, Eric Key just asked, are people joining from Antarctica?
Oops.
That's awesome.
I was just taking a screenshot. This is lovely. So we'll have it for our records. Let me, I'm gonna go ahead and clear all the annotation.
I haven't successfully do it. Hold on.
Oh, okay, sure.
Gotcha. Oops.
Did that work out for you?
Can I undo it? No.
You should be able to. There's a clear also on that bar.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, I am going to clear this and we will move on. Okay. Oh, it didn't clear them all. Give me just a second again. Clear viewers drawings. Clear all drawings. I don't know, clear my drawings. It is not clearing for me. Oh, I know why. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, so if we can please have Johan.
Yeah,
step in.
thank you, Amanda and Megan, for this tutorial and Paul. So I'm Johan Müller from the French Research Agency, and I'm here today as a theme program officer or co-secretariat of this series. And before starting, I just would like to encourage you to fill the polls on our SRI webpage as well. It would be very useful for us to, in the context of the SRI Congress, to know your answers to these very short questions. So yes, I will start the networking session with some statistics of this call, and after we will have projects overview. So on this slide about the selection process, we received 17 proposals that were eligible for funding. And after a panel of expert meeting and a post-review meeting involving funding agency representatives, we selected 6 projects for funding. So the success rate is therefore very good compared to other international calls, and is slightly exceeding 35%. Next slide, please. So to allow this success, 9 funders from 8 countries have committed about 5.4 million euros. So you can find these funding agencies on this slide, and Erika remind us these ones, but they are from Saudi Arabia, from Taipei, Russia, Japan, France, the US, Qatar, and Italy. So this distribution of funding agencies allow to create a real international collaboration. And this call is indeed funding 6 awarded teams involving 45 partners from 12 countries that will be conducting research through the Americas, Africa, Asia, Arctic, Europe. Yes, over the next 3 years. Next slide, please. Thanks. So I extracted some data from the BFGO platform in order to have a look at the disciplines that are represented in the different proposals, and I obtained this figure. So we can see that we have a lot of geographists, geochemistrists, of climatologists involved in the project. But more important, we can see that you established great links between these disciplines. And for example, social sciences and geochemistry, or climatology and civil engineering, or economics are strongly linked into your projects. So these links highlight the fact that your projects are truly inter and transdisciplinary. That is great, and is a real challenge, crucial to meet Belmont Forum criteria, but that is not so easy to reach. So we will have a section dedicated to this transdisciplinarity approach later today. Next slide. Yes, so I'm going now to give the floor to my colleagues from the Belmont Forum Secretariat for the project overview section.
Erica, I believe you're going to lead us through a tour de table.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Yeah, so I realized I didn't introduce myself. My name's Erica Key. I'm the Executive Director of the Belmont Forum. And just to welcome everyone to this event today, I'd like to start off with the team that's bringing this to you. So Amanda, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Shores, and I am on the Belmont Forum Secretariat. I'm also a AAAS Science and Technology Policy Fellow, placed at the National Science Foundation and Geosciences Directorate. And I work very closely with my colleague, Megan Postema, and Maria Yule and Erica Key, as well as our partners that we're working with here today. I will send it over to Megan now.
Hi, everyone. Briefly introduced myself earlier, but I'm Megan Postema. Also work with Amanda and Maria at the National Science Foundation, and I'm a member of the Belmont Forum Secretariat. It's nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Megan. Amanda, can you stop sharing a moment so we can see the full screen? Okay, we're going to do lights on, lights off introductions here because we have so many of us joining today. So if everyone can turn off their videos. Thank you. And the first group, if everyone's turned off their videos, the first group that we're looking to introduce are the GPC members. So if you're a GPC member, please turn on your video and wave. Welcome. Thank you for joining today. Okay, we can turn off videos for GPC members. And now could the Abruzzo project please turn on your videos and wave? Welcome, very nice representation today. If you turn off your videos, then we'd like to welcome Volker Fate. Hello, good to see you. If you shut off your videos, we'll turn to Blue Gem. Hello, Blue Gem Project. Thank you for coming. And if you turn off your videos, sorry, just one moment. Could we have Inclusive? Hello, Inclusive. Thank you so much. Can you stop your videos a moment? And we've had a bit of a discussion about how to say this properly. Prismarctic or Prismarctic? Could you turn on your video? Good to see you. You'll let us know how to say it right. Okay. And interaction, if you can turn on your videos. Great. All right, I'm just double checking myself. I think that should be all of the projects. You can turn your videos back on if you like, and I will turn it back to Amanda.
So now what we want to do is run you through a fun little game to get everyone to get to know each other and to see how well you know yourself actually. And so what we're showing here is a word cloud that's based off of the description that you sent us. And so what we'll do is we'll take a look at these word clouds and these maps and we'll try to guess. We'll see if you can recognize which project goes with which word cloud. So because I kind of have a harder time seeing all the videos, if you want to answer the question, you can either write it in the chat, you can go ahead and raise your hand, you can just turn on your audio and say, oh, that's my project. So feel free to do that. Okay, so let's look at this first one now. So I'm seeing the words management, groundwater, stakeholder, recharge. Let's see, what are some other interesting things? Model, critical political. That's interesting. Okay, does anyone want to guess what project this is?
It could be inclusive.
I think you're right. We have a winner. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so for this one, I am seeing water, land change, use, services, soil, society, abandonment, zones. Can anyone recognize this project?
Appraisal.
You got it. Excellent. Okay, for this project, we have words popping up of management, earth, soils, SM groundwater system, influence, scale. Does this strike anyone as being their project?
Maybe Blue Gem?
Them.
I think you're right. It is Blue Gem. Excellent. Okay, and for this word cloud, we have permafrost, Siberia, major watersheds, increase, Alaska, land impacts, frozen soils. Does anyone want to take a guess at which project this is?
Prismartic.
You got it. And it's Prismartic. Can you say that one more time for me?
Prismartic.
Prismartic. Okay, excellent. All right, and now we have the words groundwater, coastal water, climate change, economic, aquifers, frameworks. Does this
Interaction?
You got it, exactly. Okay, and last but not least, we have emissions, greenhouse gas, sequestration, constraint approaches, water, Western, gases. Does anyone want to take a guess at what we have here?
Yes, I guess this is Vulcafet, but we are the last one, so it's not difficult to guess.
Last but not least, though. Well, I'm glad to hear that everyone found their own project. So excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, and so now what we have here is a little compilation video of all of your projects and the wonderful videos that you sent in. So we'll just take a few minutes to watch that now.
Groundwater is a critical
Amanda, there's no sound.
Local communities built on permafrost and traditional indigenous.
I heard it then. Can we restart it with the sound, please?
I guess I can't be muted then. Okay, so let's start over. Can you hear it?
No.
Groundwater is a critical part of
Yes.
water resources. It provides key supplies for consumptive uses, supporting urban, industrial and agricultural development. Increasing groundwater extraction has created a wide range of impacts, not only on the aquifers themselves, which are increasingly depleted, but also on dependent ecosystems such as rivers, wetlands, marshes, coastal waters, which ecological conditions are highly dependent on groundwater levels.
Dry areas get drier because of climate change, and droughts contribute to warming owing to reduced cooling by evapotranspiration, which tends to enhance local heat waves.
And future climate change is projected to enhance summit growth over the entire country.
Permafrost degradations impact land usability and the quality of the water resources. Local communities built on permafrost and traditional indigenous lifestyle are therefore affected.
But very little is known about how soils and groundwater are responding to climate change and growing human influences, because most previous studies have focused on surface water.
Extraction limits are developed based on scientific studies often carried out without involving stakeholders. This top-down approach has frequently been rejected by stakeholders, generating social tensions, as well as compliance and enforcement problems.
The stakeholders' engagement is a fundamental step. In fact, the water-scarce critical zone is a socio-ecological system where the human and ecological interaction is the key driver of transformation.
The consortium carrying out a 3-year project on the impact of global change on vulnerable carbon reservoirs.
The project aims at understanding how the permafrost degradation alters differently the biochemistry of hydro systems, depending on the permafrost and soil settings across the Arctic.
We will consider biogeochemical cycles, water flows, and nutrient concentration discharge analyses of watersheds to determine actual and perceived effects on critical zone function in the context of land abandonment.
We will assess the impact of these changes and work with stakeholders to build future scenarios of land use.
We will pay particular attention to stakeholders' perception to facilitate a sustainable land management.
This approach also helps us identifying the main knowledge gaps for a better formulation of the policy guidelines for the long-term sustainability of the water-scarce critical zones.
Addresses soil and water sustainability in landscapes undergoing management and social and cultural transitions that alter watershed properties in a way that stakeholders may not understand.
Mapping and understanding of land dynamics. And finally, estimating the ecosystem state for the next 30 to 100 years.
Our multidisciplinary approach includes geomorphology, social sciences, hydrogeology, microbiology, geochemistry, and soil sciences.
By gathering interested scientists and stakeholders from other projects, to elaborate with us plausible options for groundwater and irrigation management in their own regions of expertise.
So that this place isn't just beautiful, but it's healthy, because that's really our responsibility.
Excellent. Let me bring the PowerPoint back up. Give me just a second here. All right. And now I am going to share my screen again and have Erica lead us through the transdisciplinary section. I'm bringing up my slides now. Erica, please take us away.
Thanks, Amanda. And thanks to everyone for your excellent videos. They are on the YouTube channel for Belmont Forum, and we will be tweeting about them and driving audiences to view those videos. Everybody's become so professional with their videos these days. Just thinking a year ago, many of us had never made a video compilation like that before. So wanted to start off the discussion today by introducing you to the Belmont Forum perspective on transdisciplinary. Obviously, you're quite good at it because you've made it to the awards stage, but we just want to have some discussion about transdisciplinarity in general and the different kinds of knowledge types that are coming together in these projects. So as we can see in this slide, we're progressing from individualized sort of siloed knowledge and disciplinary models. Multidisciplinary is sort of like parallel activity with possible interchange. Interdisciplinary is looking at overlaps at the edges of that knowledge. And transdisciplinary is really what they call almost like the blended model, the strawberry banana milkshake of knowledge, where you're coming together and you're co-creating, co-developing, co-producing knowledge. And so that's the type of activity that Belmont Forum supports through its awards. And I just want to point out that we offer training in this, not only online, we have some videos on transdisciplinary best practices and past workshops that we've had with Gabrielle Bammer from ANU, for example, and some of her blog posts, but as well, Monday, June 14th, so tomorrow at 8 a.m. New York time, 1 p.m. Europe, Africa time. And I'm happy to translate that into other time zones. But we'll be having a training in 2 parts, introducing transdisciplinary research and the 12 steps to achieving effective transdisciplinary collaboration. And that's being introduced by Tobias Busser from the Transdisciplinary Network in Switzerland. He recently conducted a very successful MOOC on this. And we'll segue directly into some training on accessible data management and data management for career advancement that is going to be taught by Anna Hatch from DORA, Shelley Stahl from AGU, Heather Moulaison-Sandy from the University of Missouri, and Hannah Gunderman from Carnegie Mellon. So please look on the platform, sign up and join us for that event to help discuss and meet with other transdisciplinary and open science practitioners. Next slide, please. So we want to hear from you. So we're going to transition into a breakout in small groups, and we're going to discuss about how transdisciplinarity shaped your project and the proposal that you submitted. What are the broad categories that are collaborating in your project? What kind of knowledge types are coming together, recognizing that transdisciplinarity brings together more than just academic knowledge, but stakeholder community knowledge and sometimes industrial private sector knowledge. Did you take benefit from events during the ingress window? So from when it was launched until you submitted a proposal, was there an opportunity for you to create new networks or engage with new knowledge? And how are you going to enhance involvement of stakeholders to truly co-produce knowledge within your consortium? Who could help you? What are the challenges and opportunities? And what's missing? Were there countries that you wanted to collaborate with that you were not able to because of the funds that came to the table, and that they were not eligible for support under this call, or certain knowledge types that you would like to thread into your design? So I'll turn it back to Amanda, and you will be assigned into breakouts. We're hoping to mix you up so you meet other projects and exchange and share with us your story of transdisciplinarity. So Amanda?
Megan, how are we with those breakouts?
Yep, they're ready to go. I just want to let everyone know that we're only doing 2 breakout rooms. So a few of you are going to stay in the main room. So if you don't actually move, that's okay. Just remain where you are. You can open the rooms now.
Hey, Megan. Megan or Amanda?
Go, yes.
This is Tim. I got temporarily sent to a breakout room, and then I just got kicked out back to here.
Oh, okay. Let's see now. Is Megan still here? No, she is not. Okay, so let's see. You are, give me just a second. We will figure that out really quick.
Okay. While that's going on, do you mind if we get started in this group? Is that okay?
Please go for it.
All right. If you can you turn on your videos?
Can I just snag Tim?
Yeah.
I think he's not available because it says he just hasn't joined.
No, I'm here.
Okay, can you?
I got kicked out.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I'll invite you again.
Okay. Sorry, always fun with Zoom. It's a ride. It's part of the experience of online meetings. So I'd like to give the opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves individually, since we just did kind of a broad scale introduction earlier. So I'm going to go around and call on you. Can you tell us your name, your project, your institution, and maybe a couple of words about the different knowledge types that are coming together in your project? So Jean-Jacques, I'd like to call on you first.
Okay, one sec, please. Thank you. So my name is Jean-Jacques Brun. I am a geochemist from the French Institute for Sustainable Development. I work in Africa for the last 30 years, and but not only in Africa, also in India for a while, for 12 years. And so I am the consortium leader of Vulcar Fate.
Thank you, Jean-Jacques. Okay, Antoine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Antoine Séjourné. I'm working at University Paris-Saclay, a laboratory about geoscience. I'm a geologist, hydrologist, specialist of the permafrost and how it evolved in context of global warming in Siberia. And I'm also the consortium leader of the Prismatic project.
Welcome, and thanks for teaching us how to say that properly.
No problem.
Yadu, would you go next?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Yadu Pokhrel from Michigan State University, and I am the US partner PI on the BlueZim project. I'm a civil engineer by training, but my work is mostly on hydrological modeling, considering climate change impacts and societal processes, water management, and the interactions between natural systems and human systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Yadu. Anna, I missed your cat, but could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, she was making a guest appearance. My name's Anna. I'm from the United States, and I'm on the Abraiso project. I'm a graduate student, so I'll be helping with some of the data analysis things that are coming our way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna. David.
Hello, I'm Davide Camarano. I'm associate professor at Purdue University in the Department of Agronomy. My specialty here is digital agriculture. I have background, I've been working over the year in impact of climate change, and I actually was involved in a project where we had the stakeholder engagement to understand the impact of climate change on poverty rates in Africa. So I'm the leading PI of the Interaction project here.
Wonderful, welcome. Hide, is that correct?
Hello, yes, I'm Hide Shibata, faculty member of Hokkaido University, Japan. And I'm a member, PI of Japanese team of Abraiso project. I am biogeochemist, and I'm working on the biogeochemical processes and ecosystems, and also working on the long-term ecological research network and more natural science-based researchers. Thank you.
Welcome, Hide. Rosemary.
Hi, I'm Rosemary. I'm also a graduate student. I'm working at Penn State with Janet Swim, and we're working on the social science side of things with the Abresso project, focusing on social psychology.
Fantastic. Marie-Claude, can you share your video or is the bandwidth a problem? Marie-Claude, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Mariko Ngando, and from Cameroon. I'm working since with Jean-Jacques Bro.
Thank you so much for joining. Derek?
Thank you. My name is Derek Mirinzi. I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm currently undertaking coursework in civil engineering in structural options at the Pan-African University and Technology. With 4 years of experience, I work as a construction supervisor and also I'm part as a volunteer in the civil society of South Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of Congo since 2016. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, Derek. Olayinka?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Olayinka Oshiolale from Nigeria, a lecturer at Elizabeth University, lecturer at the Department of Biological Science, and also lecturer in environmental management and toxicology. My research involves environmental health studies, which covers water quality and infectious diseases. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Barnabas.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Barnabas Daniel. I'm a research assistant at Nathaniel Ramel and Sahara Nigeria Limited. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Hello. Hello.
Barnabas, can you hear us? We might return to you. It sounds like you've got an active household today. Okay, I'm just going to mute you, Barnabas. Thank you. All right. Well, that was a great introduction. I was taking some notes because it sounds like we have a lot of different knowledge types here and some points of connection. So geologists, hydrologists, civil engineers, hydrological modelers, climate change specialists who've worked with stakeholders, biogeochemists, social psychologists, toxicologists, environmental managers, expertise in development. So you understand that, it takes a lot to come together to create these transdisciplinary projects. And so I wonder if anyone would like to share their experience putting together the project. Did you have these networks before? Are there disciplines that you heard just now in the introductions that you wish you could have collaborated with in the development of your proposal? Or were there different country actors that you wanted to have but couldn't because the funding limitation didn't allow? So it's an open floor. You can use hands or you can just unmute and share. And there are no wrong answers. Oh, we have another, did someone just join us? Noriaki? Can you introduce yourself? I'm not sure if Noriaki's there. While we're waiting for Noriaki, let's turn to Antoine.
Thank you. For my part, people from the consortium, we already know each other or colleagues of colleagues. It's more an opportunity for funding where you have those different countries and more about the subject, I guess. And also about the fact that for this call, it's more rewarded if you have different scientists and stakeholders. Usually, sometimes it's just words in some other project. It's not necessarily something which is made to be enhanced, but this for sure for this call, that was the good point. So thank you.
Thank you, Antoine. Anyone else have a similar experience? Your network was already mostly formed, or were you able to partner with new people because of this? Yadu?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, can I go next, Erika?
Sure. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm watching these hands. Don't forget to lower your hand after you've made your intervention. Otherwise, yeah, we have legacy hands. Okay. So Yadu and then David.
Okay. Yeah. For our project, we had two of us already talking about some sort of activities, but we were both modelers and on the physical science side. So once we saw the call, we started thinking about social science, social scientists and stakeholders. So it was a kind of, we had to have several meetings to figure out what we would do and who we would need. And particularly, I would say, because this team started forming from the physical science side, we had to work a bit to figure out what kind of social science activities, transdisciplinary activities we would do and who would be the stakeholders. And because our project is, one of the study sites is in the Mekong, we hoped that Vietnam was part of the CRA, but I had a colleague who I was talking to, and he said, oh, Vietnam is not there anymore this year. So we had a bit of challenge, and we had to reach out to the Mekong River Commission, one of the international organizations there in the region. So it worked out, but the process of building the team to address really the transdisciplinary aspects of the proposal, and particularly looking at linkages between social science and physical sciences, and then involving stakeholders was the major part of the proposal building process. And eventually it worked out, but as I said, if we had Vietnam and some other agencies in the region, that would be even better.
Thank you, Yadu. And Vigmar is here today on this call, so you might private chat with them if you
right.
get a
Yes.
chance.
Yeah, and what I meant is in terms of having country with funding. They said we don't have Vietnam participating in Belmont, so we cannot really build a team here. We could have collaborators, but they couldn't build a team there. Yeah.
Yes, I understand. David, and then Jean-Jacques.
Yeah, in my experience, it was a completely new team with people that scientifically didn't know each other and somewhat had completely different expertise. But I think as a leading of the proposal, it was more centered about we have this problem, which was sort of similarish among the different areas where we are concentrating our study. And so that made it easier to build up a case, to prepare a proposal together and bring all the expertise together. Stakeholders have been very important, especially stakeholders from Italy and Qatar and California as well. But we were working together anyhow, so there was already, from my side, I knew what we were talking with in terms of the Californian project. I mean, Davis has a great extension network that works with stakeholders. So that was facilitated from our US side. From the other side, stakeholders are being pivotal to the proposal as well. In fact, we have also a stakeholder advisory board within the project to help us make sure that we are on track to have stakeholder involved. We involved from the writing of the proposal, so it was very much stakeholder centered, the whole project, which also made it easier to fit the science around their needs, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that experience you had working with stakeholders before, I'm sure helped that process.
It did. We took that project, was a UK aid project, and it took 5 years to start talking the same language between climatologists, economists, stakeholder, and agronomists or modelers. And it was challenging. So that really helped me, in fact, shaping up this and making sure the stakeholders were involved from day zero, the whole process.
Wonderful. I'd like to turn to Jean-Jacques, and then I'm going to ask Rosemary a question as our sole social scientist in this group. So Jean-Jacques?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, to speak about the genesis of our project is quite, I would say, funny, because a long time back with one of my colleagues in France, Oleg Pokrovsky, who is Russian of origin, we spoke about doing something about carbon fluxes in Russia and also in Central Africa, because I worked in Central Africa for the last, I told you, about 30 years, and we had a lot of observatories, research and observatories. And maybe 8 years ago, I did some work with one of our stakeholders associated to the project, the Nature Conservancy, which is a big conservation NGO. So we tried to build on this collaboration, the previous collaboration, to have something between from the equator to the Arctic Circle. So it is this is the genesis of the project. And we tried to get some new stakeholders through this connection with these people from TNC, which has a big network, and in Russia also with our colleague from the Tomsk University. And we work with American scientists also. And it's quite, for me, it's very challenging. It's very exciting to work in this project. But we have also other projects, which is ongoing project to help us to do some science behind that.
That's excellent. So you used a boundary spanning organization, the Nature
Yes.
Conservancy, to be able to connect all of this together.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Because they work especially on the Ogoué Basin in Gabon. Okay, they are in charge of the policy and the hydrology, the water policy in Gabon. So it's
Yes.
very exciting to work with us, with them, sorry.
I remember this from your video. You had a very compelling video, and seeing those images of
I tried to
Gabon
do
was
something demonstrative. I don't know if it is okay, but
it was wonderful.
thank you.
So I just want to point out, and Rosemary is a social psychologist working with a room full of natural scientists and physical scientists, though I have to say civil engineering and, hydrological modeling and, climate change, working with stakeholders. These are academic pursuits that to me already, incorporate a client, right? It is working with people. So there's that element there, but how to build the language across so you could all communicate. And we just heard from David, it took them 5 years. Rosemary, do you have any insights on how you're going to work with your broad community?
Yeah, so I actually only joined this project maybe a month ago. So I've been trying to orient myself in this project. But what I can say so far is that even with meetings with other social scientists, I mean, there's such a broad range of, I guess, of expertise coming in, of mindsets, of ways of looking at things. And so I've just been, trying to listen and understand other perspectives. And I think that's obviously, as you all know, key to having any successful transdisciplinary research or project. Sorry if you can hear my cat. She gets fed in 5 minutes, so she's like crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I have any great insight. I've only worked on, one other transdisciplinary project in the past, and I'm at the very early stages of my academic career, so I'm here to learn and hear from you guys, actually.
Thanks, Rosemary. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm also going to call on Anna because you mentioned that you're working with data, and there's probably going to be many different data types in this. Do you have ideas of how you're going to work with transdisciplinary data?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Rosemary too, of getting caught up as things have been funded. And so I'm working with Bill McDowell specifically on the biogeochemical data in our US site of Great Bay Estuary. And a lot of my work previously in this region has involved a lot of different data sets and I guess disciplines, whether it's hydrological data or the biogeochemical data, and a little bit of the social science in the sense of, things that come from the perspective of a scientist or a community stakeholder member of like what's a good result or a bad result and what you're working on can be very different. And so I have found even just like what I think is good in terms of like an ecosystem service and things I'm looking at might not be the same way somebody in the community or a stakeholder partner looks at it because they see it differently.
That's a really good point that, there are different perspectives on the information that you will develop on this. And that can lead to all kinds of new learning within a discipline and across. I think we just have about 3 minutes left before we're going to move to, I think, health break is our next agenda item, which, we can all stretch our legs and you can feed your cat. So no worries there. But I just want to turn to Hide and Olayinka and Marie-Claude and Derek and just talk about integration locally into projects, bringing in a diversity of perspectives. How do you feel that the projects are going to leverage, local knowledge to be able to come up with what we heard this morning was the most suitable solution space. Do you have any insights on this?
Yes, that's a very important point, how to use our local knowledge to develop our sustainable future from perspective of watershed management. So local people has a wide range of knowledge and experiences from their own perspective, but it's not so easy to connect with scientific assessment from natural and social science. So Abrasive project will try to conduct some stakeholder meeting, some local meeting or some interviewing to get such kind of knowledge for our outcomes of the project. But still challenge for us to do that. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Hide. Derek, do you have any thoughts on this? I think Derek may have left. Olayinka. Okay, Olayinka just disappeared. As I say names, people are just going away. This is a bit frightening. It's not magic, I promise. Marie-Claude, do you have any thoughts about integrating local knowledge? Okay. If you want to use the chat, that's fine as well. I know that connection is challenging. I experience it myself every day. Let me open that to the room then. In terms of integrating stakeholder knowledge, co-developing possible tools or solutions, new ideas. Do you feel confident in the tools and techniques that you have to make that happen? And I just want to say we are offering this training course to give you additional tools from people who specialize in this, recognizing that you can have stakeholders that don't agree, and you can have a stakeholder who just does nothing but lob bombs at you the entire time. I don't like it. I don't want to do this. The disengaged negative stakeholder. The flip side is to have someone who's extremely engaged and very positive. So how do you work amongst all of these different perspectives and attitudes in the project? So anyone have anything they'd like to share about their experience in that? Yadu?
One thing is for us, once we started talking to one of our stakeholders, the MRC, the challenge was what they already have and what they really want in terms of new science or new data, new tools that will be generated. So we had to, have a discussion on that. Their concern was, are you doing something that's going to be really useful? Because we are coming up with some ideas, right? And then we say, hey, we want to do this. Do you want to engage with us in developing these tools and data sets? And well, we need to really find a place where we haven't done much and it will really help us take things forward. So that was a kind of challenge for us, one challenge. And the other thing I would like to note is, it's not related to stakeholders, but during the proposal building process, the transdisciplinarity was the place where we really needed to spend time, because we always previously thought, okay, we do interdisciplinary project. We have one engineer, social scientist, and natural scientist. And, we used to call, okay, we have interdisciplinary project. And when we started talking about the transdisciplinarity for this CRA, we had to have a lot of discussions, and I hope the training tomorrow will provide more information on that. That was a little bit of challenge as well.
Definitely. Rosemary?
Yeah, so in past projects where I've worked with stakeholders, something that I think it's easy to do is go in and as the expert and say, I'm the expert. And I think it's really important to understand and respect other ways of knowing that aren't considered, science. So local knowledges, maybe traditions or cultures that impact how people think about their habitat or their just like their land, and respecting that and getting down on their level and listening and listening to those perspectives and incorporating them, I think has been something that's really helped in my work with agricultural landowners.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share? Oh, we have 1 more minute. Who wants to be the last word in this session before a quick health break? Anyone? Okay. I really enjoy what you just shared, Rosemary, and want to say, we are looking at inclusion, making space for indigenizing solutions, and looking at everyone as a knowledge holder. We're all experts in something. And for example, I have an academic background, but I'm no longer in academia. Does that negate my knowledge and what I have to share? So looking at the profession of sort of transdisciplinary learning and recognizing it can come from many different places. So I believe that's the end. And Amanda will be calling everyone back in to let them know about the health break.
Hello, everyone. So the breakout rooms are now closing. They have a countdown and they will all return, and then we can let you all go for a 10-minute health break. You will hear some chatter from our end when it's time to come back. Please go ahead and shut off your video and your audio while you're gone.
I really liked what you said there, Jean-Daniel. I agree with you. All right, I'll take a health break.
I was just wondering if anybody had attended any of the SRI sessions so far, other than this one.
I attended the welcome session last yesterday, 6 p.m. I think our time. And you were there, of course.
Yeah, I was there. There's been some really amazing discussion going on. So please do check the schedule and join in.
Erika, I plan to attend tomorrow's training session in 2 parts, but are you sure the start time is 1 p.m. Central European time?
I will double check. 8 a.m. Eastern.
I will put it in the chat. Let me put the session up. It will show you the time in your personal time zone.
Yeah, Anya's 1 p.m. is correct, if I'm doing the
Because
conversion.
I registered and I chose the option that it's put directly into my calendar, and the time was it was automatic.
Doing UCT or CEST? Because it'll be 2 p.m. CEST plus 6. It's 8 a.m. Eastern plus 6, that's 2 p.m., right?
Okay.
Yeah, and yes, I'm assuming, yeah, 8 a.m. for us here, so it would be 2 p.m. for you probably.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever it shows on your SRI agenda is correct.
Thanks.
That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, I'm just welcoming everyone back, and if you've returned, either turn on your video or give us a thumbs up just so we know that everyone's here. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're going to dive right back in. And we're going to focus quickly on brainstorming some ideas about communication very broadly. So I just wanted to introduce you to some examples from other cohorts. Is kind of an inspiration to get those gears turning about how you're going to share the knowledge that you create and the tools that you develop in your projects. So other cohorts that we have funded have attended and disseminated knowledge at many different kinds of meetings, different associations. They've developed their own workshops, sometimes very local, broader, online. It's a range, but they're usually scientific conferences. Next slide, please. As well, they publish their results in a wide range of journals. I've learned many new journals through this process, and journals in all languages. So many Russian publications, Japanese, Chinese, French, German. So they are publishing in a number of languages, but in different types of journals, sometimes behind a paywall. And sometimes in a disciplinary journal, because the transdisciplinary activity that they're doing, they might not be aware of transdisciplinary journals and are looking more at the citation score than at the fit. So we recognize that there will be a number of academic publications that come out of these projects, but next slide. We would like to encourage you to think about your whole team, including your stakeholders and those that you're engaging in, and who your audience might be for the activity that you're doing, and consider alternative types of communication. And so these are just examples from other projects in the Belmont Forum. We've had blogs and vlogs, we've had podcasts, we've had discussion circles. Many of them develop games, whether online games or in-person games, to be able to work together with communities to co-develop solution ideas, or just to communicate about some of these very complex themes that you're working on. Of course, there's the opportunity to train future generations, whether it's through an academic summer school or a scholarly exchange, or engaging in capacity building within countries. And then communicating that through sometimes museum pieces or installations. We've even had one project that was communicating its results through the art of dance. So I think people have utilized their creativity to embrace and share their learning to very broad audiences. Next, please. And within the concept of communication, I want to take a moment to bring up the fact that we do have an open data policy and principles that you will see in the reporting, but also this is something that is a requirement from Belmont Forum. And this is to increase the utilization of the knowledge and the tools that you produce. So we follow, if you know, FAIR data, we have FAIR-like principles, which is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, I believe. And as you can see in this slide, we have some examples from past projects. These happen to be from the climate cohort, who were particularly sensitive on transparency in their results and made sure that their data was accessible through a number of platforms. So we encourage you to take this seriously. And if you have questions about that, do participate in that data management training tomorrow. Next slide, please. It's not just data, though, it's also digital objects. So if you are going to be producing new code or other types of digital tools, games, software, please do link that in your reports so that that can be shared more widely. And there are platforms to be able to share these, including Zenodo and GitHub. So if you have questions on that, please let us know. Next slide. And we just want to point out, recognizing that many scientists do not have communication training or may not have had data management training, that you are not alone in achieving these new heights. Belmont Forum is here to support you. We do have a number of channels to disseminate your work to policy audiences, to other stakeholders, to transdisciplinary practitioners outside the forum. So we will be working with you and with the coordination office to ensure very broad reach on your outputs and your outcomes. So you're not expected to become an automatic communicator overnight, but do consider the communities that you're working with, how they might access the language, how they might access the information and in what language they're able to read, and that they will likely not be attending academic conferences or reading journal articles. So distilling information in a way that they can access is critically important for this, and sharing your learning by making your data and digital objects open. I believe that is, this is the last slide. So as I mentioned, on YouTube, we have quite a number of video tutorials to support you on all elements, from proposal writing to report writing, but also, as you can see here, quite a few on data management. And what's great about this is most people will not attend a really long course or read a really intense document, but you can set aside 5 minutes and watch a video. So people will schedule 5 minutes to be able to learn new tools for data management. And I point out that our newest product from about a year ago is a scorecard where you can rate your own data management plan and improve that plan over the course of your project. We don't expect it to be static. As you're learning and creating new understanding, that management plan will likely change. And we just ask you to share those updates with us in your annual reports. So with the remaining 5 minutes for this section, I just wanted to do a bit of a group discussion, a brainstorm, if you will, on communication ideas. Go back, we're not going to be doing added value just yet, thanks. Like to hear from those on the call about communication ideas and data management strategies that you have developed for your program and you'd like to share with the group, so that we can learn from one another and get inspired on how we can share and increase the uptake of your learning into new domains. So if you'd like to raise your hand and share your ideas, we'll get this conversation starting for the next few minutes. Okay, any takers? Jean Daniel?
Yeah, since if no one is starting, just a question. I was wondering.
You muted yourself mid-question.
Is it okay? Yes, okay. I was just wondering if something like a video blog would not be nice, because we have a number of projects who could produce, short information from time to time. But what we need is to ensure that we have a flow of information. So we saw, I was quite impressed by all the videos, all much better than ours. But it shows that we can illustrate some of the output without waiting to have formal documents. And then we create a flow of information that will make links between the different teams. And that can also be disseminated a bit wider using all the social networks that we're working with. But we need support for this. Sorry, we need a coordinated strategy and maybe technical support to produce this.
That's a great way to start, and we'll note that one for the coordination session later on. I admit we use Zoom quite a bit to record our videos and use freely accessible video editing tools so that we don't have large production budgets. And the video compilation, for example, that you saw earlier from your videos was done in this way. So definitely think that's something where we can share, because there are some video producers here today who are quite accomplished and could share some ideas and learning there. But certainly we can use the Belmont Forum YouTube channel and Twitter. And I think even Megan has a TikTok account, and that's become very popular to be able to get out these short videos. But I would point just to some examples if you'd like to look at how past projects have done this. The Gold Matters project from Transformations to Sustainability has a very active Twitter account and shares experiences from the artisanal gold mines in Africa and Brazil quite frequently, with nice imagery and very concise statements that keeps that flow of information going. Anyone else? Ideas, lessons learned? Maria?
Yeah, so lately I've been quite interested in this show called Digging for Britain. And it's archaeology, but what the teams do is they have they call them dig diaries. And so it's kind of when they're doing field work, they do short little interviews with the lead person or someone in the field, and they kind of keep a running diary. So it was very similar to was it Jean the first suggestion, Jean Daniel, the first suggestion there. And if you did that, you would, I mean, it doesn't take up much time. It's really short. It's really quick. And then you have a compilation of that you can actually, at the end, maybe we could do, you know, a real kind of time lapse of where you started and where you ended up. So that's another quick and easy idea to do that.
That's great. I'm sure there'll be more ideas that come forward like that. You know, just having these snapshots as you're doing your project and showing the challenges, you know, as well as the learning. People gravitate towards that, really understanding the process of collaboration, especially during COVID. And the challenges with trying to collaborate with people that you can only see in a tiny box or on WhatsApp. The name of the T2S project, just to answer Anne Helen's chat message, is Gold Matters. They're on Twitter. If your project has a Twitter account, please just tag Belmont and then we'll follow you and we will reshare your updates. As well, we have a Belmont Forum LinkedIn page and we can share there. But just a snapshot, even if you're having a Zoom meet with your team, you know, taking a picture of that. Our team met today, we're just getting started. This is happening, da, da, da. We will retweet that and people enjoy that. Ah, this is getting going. Well, you know, they're ahead of us. Maybe we'll go ask them how they're doing it. You know, it makes a connection point between your project and the others in soils, as well as other Belmont Forum projects and other cohorts. And it's an easy thing to do that takes very little time. Yes, language is an issue, but that's one of the beautiful things about Twitter, at least for me, and LinkedIn, is that translate tweet option. So it's fine, you can write in your own language and post it and just tag, and then we can translate it on the fly, understand what you're sharing, but retweet it in, you know, the original language or retweet it in our translated language. So yes, I think it's a fantastic point that we can reinforce the original language through some of these social media structures. And yes, translation into local and indigenous language is critically important. I want to take that as a perfect segue into our next item, which is about added value. And certainly communicating in the local language is an added value. Next slide, please. So when we talk about added value, there's a lot of different ideas that might come to mind. Sorry, some of the words on this slide were cut off. But when we're supporting international and transdisciplinary projects, one of the ways that we bring funders to the table is we discuss how them participating in an international collaboration with other funding cultures is an added value to their organization. So you can think that the partnership process for creating a Belmont Forum call is sort of like the partnership process you went through in creating your proposals. So for a funder to participate in an activity that's outside of their usual program and to take the time to do the international dialogue and development, they will need to communicate back to their administration the added value of the activity. And that added value can take a lot of different shapes. So sometimes it's just that through participating in Belmont Forum, they're able to support international scholar exchange or the fostering of transdisciplinarity and transdisciplinary learning, that the projects will produce technology that can be transferred and marketed, that the solutions will be scalable to other locales and other systems, that the international collaboration gives them an opportunity to network internationally and to exchange learning across borders, or to move fundamental knowledge into a management, decision-making, operational framework, or even to be taken up by the private sector. So it can really range a gamut here. And what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes or so is to call on the program officers that are here with us today, the program directors that provide the funding for soils, so that they can explain something about their funding added value and some of the expectations they might have from the projects that have been supported by their organization. And so since I just saw Maria in the chat, I'm going to start with her, and then we'll go around and make sure that all the GPC members have a chance to share this with the group and maybe take a few questions.
Great, thanks, Erica. So welcome everyone. And we're very pleased on behalf of the National Science Foundation. We have representatives from the US on all the projects, so we were extremely lucky this time. And for us, for NSF and my program in particular, I participate in the Belmont Forum really to help create opportunities for not only international collaboration, but also for promoting and supporting the transdisciplinary research that surrounds and is applicable to global environmental change and sustainability. So for me, it is really about that coming together with other partners in the international landscape there to work and create those opportunities. Very interested in seeing how the fundamental knowledge that we do derive from a lot of the basic research that we support can actually be used to help inform decision-making, breaking down some barriers between what I would call sort of the ivory tower group and then community, really having projects that take the university and bring it into the community and creating those partnerships with other actors and those, especially those that are making decisions, and really creating a very adept and nimble international community that can respond to these kinds of challenges. For me, I think this is a fantastic opportunity to grow this new cohort of folks. I also look to provide opportunities for the next generation of researchers and stakeholders working together so that this kind of approach actually becomes second nature. We don't have to really think about how, to force this together, to really think collectively and to work together seamlessly. So that's kind of the added value that I look for in participating and supporting Belmont Forum projects.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maria. I'd like to turn next to Anne-Hélène Prieur-Richard and Johan Mueller.
Thank you, Erica. So I think that some of the words that Maya just said, we are really sharing them, in fact, and it's certainly why we are partnering in the Belmont Forum. We are very lucky as well, as we have many French representatives in the different projects. But what we are really interested to is to have a large representation from other countries and other organizations, because it's really what we are coming to look for within the Belmont Forum. We trust that bringing different visions, perspectives, experience will enrich the research of everyone. So that's really what we think. We are used to support a continuum in research, and we think that every aspect is important, but we also think that there is some opportunities both for young researchers and more senior researchers to enlarge their research experience in a way. So doing some national ones, but also going to Europe or international aspects. And we think that it's really a learning process for everyone, but that's really important to have those opportunities to apply to. As also Erica mentioned earlier, one of the added value we see is not only during the projects itself. So the communications to us of what you are findings and experiences is fantastic, and we encourage you to come back to us. But we also think that after the projects itself, especially for transdisciplinary projects, you may have results, outcomes, and we are really interested in hearing from them, because as Erica mentioned, it's not only for the 2 or 3 people here present, but it's also to talk to our hierarchy, to our colleagues and other organizations to continue supporting this kind of research. So it's really crucial. And my third point would be regarding what we will be talking later on about these coordination, valorization activities. We are really interested in not only the individual projects, but what you can build together. Build a network, build joint activities, can be of any kind, capacity building, synthesis, perspective, whatever, but around data for sure. But this is also a fantastic opportunity to enlarge, in fact, the kind of product we can have at the end of a project. And I think SRI is one of our experiments for that, but the coordination grant that we will be discussing later on is another one. Thank you. Johan, I don't know if you want to add on.
Yes, first, I fully agree. I think a crucial added value to be involved in this kind of program is an international partnership to help our national research communities to build an international network and make international research on themes that have to be addressed on a broad manner is a clear added value. And maybe another added value from a funding agency point of view, I think is the impact of the leverage effect of the funding. ANR is a funding agency, so we are obviously interested to see that €1 from ANR could fund a project with a total cost of, I don't know, €5. And in consequence, the impact of this €1 could be greatly increased on research development of these themes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Johan. Tanaka-san and Oscar, would you like to speak on added value from JST?
Yeah, thank you, Erica. I think there's not really much I can add to what's already been stated, but really, I think this kind of research really presents a unique opportunity for us to support research which has this transdisciplinary nature, which is something which we don't actually have in a lot of the other activities we have at JST. So in that sense, it's a really great opportunity for researchers to engage in that kind of research and also work with many different teams across many different regions. So kind of just, go over different kinds of research, different regions, and it all ends up being a great opportunity, I think, for researchers. Basically, we get a lot of new opportunities, and I think it will have a lot of great positive effects down the line for the Japanese research community, basically. So there's really not much I can add aside from that, but that's really the way we think about it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Oscar. And I believe Zhang Yexiu will have the last word from MOST.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I'm a professor of soil science from National Taiwan University. However, actually, I'm not official because the officials asked me to attend this meeting based on my expertise. So, but anyway, during the process of the reviews, I know some information from PI's idea and the framework for the goal of this call for project. So this is a good opportunity to integrate, particularly under the COVID-19 impact in the world. So the PI, not only local, but also from other countries, this is very good panel to collaborate together for this important issue, soils and the water. And I have seen all the video from the 6th project. So I appreciate the organization of Belmont Forum to consider all aspects of our project, including different disciplines to get our new harvest in next maybe 2 or 3 years later. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure I haven't missed any other funders who are here today. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. I'd like to just take a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions on the theme of added value. Please raise your hand, and then we're going to transition to a real added value coordination, and Johan is going to lead that discussion. But first, any questions about added value in your projects and what you've just heard? Okay, everybody's clear as a bell. Great. That gives us more time to talk about coordination. So Johan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Erica. Yes, so during our next session, we will have presentations on the valorization of the project through the coordination activities. But first of all, to facilitate exchanges after the presentation, I will encourage you to use the chat box, but also a Google document to comment, ask questions, or add ideas during the presentation. So I'm going to put the link in the chat box right now to the Google document. So please feel free to use it. I already wrote the Jean Daniel's idea about the blog to allow a flow of information from different projects funded through this CRA. So Jean Daniel, feel free to reformulate if needed. We will also have 10 minutes for questions after the presentations. Thank you. So as you know, during this call for proposals, NSF and ENR proposed an additional grant to teams to take the lead on projects coordination activities. So in the call text was written in the following paragraph. A valorization grant can be made to partners of a consortium with the goals to connect funded projects in the CRA, to build a true collaborative cohort, and to add value through inter-project exchanges and by developing projects beyond those of individual projects. And we provided examples. So the suggested activities goals were to create networks of PIs cross projects, to facilitate capacity building activities, to create synergies between projects regarding methodologies, sharing of data or results, to develop joint outcomes, to share experience or building communication strategies towards stakeholders, and so on. Next slide, please. And the panel of experts and the funding organization representatives selected propositions from Agnès Ducharme from France and Yadou Pocrel from the US, and they are both from the Blue Gym proposal, and Tim White from the US and from the Abrazo project. And before letting the floor to them, I would like to inform or remind you that a second meeting dedicated to these activities will hopefully take place in coming weeks in order to develop such as activities with your contribution. I will send you a doodle poll after the kickoff meeting in order to schedule this second session. So please be aware that you will receive this kind of poll, and thank you in advance for filling it. Yes, Tim, the floor is yours. Tim?
Good day, everyone. How are you? I hope everyone's fine. Was there a slide before this? Sorry. No? Okay. Please. Oh.
This is the next slide.
Okay, that's fine. Just go back to whatever you had first. That's fine.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay, so we've proposed some activities that hopefully will work to draw our 6 projects together. And the first one is that we need some leadership and people capable of coordinating and planning joint activities. And so, and I want to be very clear that these are, at least from my view, proposed actions that we'll need to work through and discuss more in the meeting that Johan mentioned in the coming weeks. But the first thing is we've proposed that there be some sort of executive committee that would work to meet on a very regular basis. We chose the people based on the people who are going to be funded to do coordinating activities. So that would be me and Yadu, and then Amanda and Megan from Belmont, or representing Belmont Forum. We would also have a PI committee, which would involve one person from each of the projects, as well as the people from the executive committee. We envision frequent meetings, at least initially, probably in year one till we get things rolling, and then less frequent meetings as all the projects and our coordinated activities evolve. And then finally, there'll be an annual meeting for everyone and all the projects as required by Belmont, but also for the good of the order. Next slide. I just wanted to mention that some of the activities that I'm going to propose here are a continuation or evolution of activities that have been previously funded under this program called the Science Across Virtual Institutes. This is a program that Maria's office has supported, specifically a project that I was the PI on called Crossing the Boundaries of Critical Zone Science with a Virtual Institute. So the point here is that we have some significant experience in running these coordinated activities internationally, and really quite specifically with some of these activities I'm going to mention next. Next slide. So one of the things, just reaching back to that annual meeting, we have been holding, or we held for 5 successive years, an International Critical Zone Observatory workshop. In this case, we had them associated with the American Geophysical Union, or AGU meeting. We chose the AGU meeting because that was the meeting that the US Critical Zone Observatory program was most active in, but also because it's well represented by Asian and European scientists. It doesn't mean that this group has to choose AGU as our go-to meeting. I want to be clear about that, but at least for us at the time, it was a good meeting to have seminars and workshops associated, and specific sessions that we organized. These workshops I thought were really productive. We typically had about 50 people attending them. They were day-long workshops. You know, we would provide coffee and a little bit of breakfast food in the morning, a full lunch buffet, coffee and the like during the day, and close out before dinner time. They typically involved presentations, but then some sort of working session where we were actually trying to accomplish something. And in this one, you can see in 2019, we were working towards how can we get the Belmont Forum to create a program for us to propose to. And just to be clear, these workshops, I'm not talking about being able to pay for people to attend a meeting. This is taking advantage of the fact that people are attending these meetings. We do pay for lunch and the room and the AV and the like. I see I'm getting prompted to move along quicker. Another thing we're going to propose is a website. And what we've proposed is that we build a presence for this Belmont Forum Soils and Water CRA off an existing website, which is www.czen, Critical Zone Exploration Network.org. It's a member-driven website. There's no cost to join, but you join. At last count, we had about 1,700 members across almost 80 countries. It's become the go-to place for the international critical zone community. And what we envision is that within this website, we would create a presence for this CRA. Obviously, we can't mandate to you that you build your website within this, but so we would at least ask that we be able to link to you. but I think there's great opportunity to use this existing website and the attention it already gets from a transdisciplinary community of researchers. Next slide. CZen includes this site seeker tool. So those of you who have sites specific to your projects, we would ask that, and we would help you gain a presence within this site seeker tool. You can see, I'm not going to spend any time, but there's these predetermined fields that you choose to define your sites. And it provides an opportunity for the international community to then go in and learn about your site. So for example, if you want to explore expanding your research to sites in tropical places with a specific climate on a specific rock type and a certain type of soil, you can select all those and it'll spit out to you what sites within the database have those attributes. So we would help you to get your presence in this site seeker tool. Next slide. We've had a lot of experience and success in this International Scholars Program, and we would like to continue it through this group. With the International Scholars Program, what this does is allow students based at US universities to go overseas to gain expertise, avail of field sites, or just other things in general that they might not have at their home institution or nearby institutions. And so what we would envision here is that we would have an open call and students would apply, and we would hopefully get host sites and labs amongst your projects and move graduate students, and postdocs from one project to the other, so that we could kind of seed ideas between the various projects. And I should add, just listening to the little breakout session we had earlier, one of the things I hadn't thought about, but that I think we need to think about is how we might also engage the stakeholder community in this program. Next slide. We'd also like to build off a summer school that we held jointly with a European Union project called the Eco-Potential Project. It was very successful. You can see the title here, Critical Zone and Ecosystem Dynamics. Obviously, we'd come up with a new title and change it, but I envision that by engaging the social scientists and stakeholders, we could create a really excellent and exciting experience for participants. We ran this for 2 summers only. It was a 9 to 10 day commitment of time. And, it's not 24 hours a day, but they were long days of lectures and field time. And it was just a great opportunity to interact with people of a wide range of disciplines in some pretty amazing landscapes. And so we'd like to continue that program too, again, embracing, this was focused on the natural sciences, but embracing the social sciences and stakeholder communities, not only as participants, but as leaders in the program. Next slide. Just skip by that. That was just quotes of people. There's a lot of other things we could do. For me, at least in year 1, I would want to focus on what I just outlined, but we've done a lot of other things. I've listed some of them here, just different outreach and opportunities to further develop, in particular, our early career research community. So all these things that you see listed here are potential activities that we can pursue, just given constraints on everybody's time and resources. But I think there's great opportunity here to do a lot to collaborate amongst our projects. And I think I'll close there and hand it over to Yadu and Agnes.
Thanks, team. As Johanna said before, we've got a valorization grant with the Blue Gem project to contribute to the coordination of our 6 CRA projects. The overarching goal of Blue Gem to set the frame is to explore the joint evolutions of climate, soils, groundwater, and irrigation throughout the Anthropocene from the beginning of the 19th century to the end of the 21st century to better understand their coupling, foresee their potential changes, and also identify possible consequences. Next, please. And to this end, we rely on 2 different kind of methods. First, advanced numerical modeling, including climate models, just as you have for the IPCC reports, but with advanced features regarding groundwater and irrigation. And also we rely on various participatory methods with both local and regional actors over 2 regions, which are France and Mekong, alongside the global scale, which is ours. And these 2 sets of methods correspond to the 2 kinds of coordination actions we are proposing to you, and as Yadu will explain. Next, please.
Thank you, Agnes, and hello, everyone. So the coordination activities that we have proposed under the Blue Gem project are in line with some of the examples Johan presented earlier about creating synergy among different projects, sharing experiences, and potentially developing some joint outcomes, meaning, or essentially, it's kind of building something together, as Angel and also highlighted earlier. And the proposed activities are guided by 3 fundamental principles, as you see here. The first one is sharing knowledge between projects, and the second one is exchanging expertise among scientists, and also importantly, with the stakeholders, and eventually promoting collaboration toward greater impacts among all the soil CRA projects, which now all of us know deal with wide-ranging problems related to soils, societies, and sustainability across the globe, and involve different kinds of stakeholders from the Arctic to the mid-latitudes and to the equatorial regions in Africa. And for Blue Gem, we have designed or proposed 2 specific coordination actions, which we expect to evolve as well over the course of the project and will be refined. The first one, as you see here, coordination action 1 is related to finding synergies among projects in terms of sharing and using data and products. And the second one is about bringing together scientists and stakeholders to exchange expertise and also information. Next slide, please. For the first action, which is particularly related to data sharing, as you see here, we will begin by opening our data or sharing our project outcomes to other CRA projects. And I put a cartoon here that shows a whole lot of things because our project encompasses a broad range of processes related to the sustainability of soils, soil systems, and societies. Next, please. And by doing century-long simulations, we will generate various types of data and products, considering Earth system and linkages to the societal systems, also considering economic aspects and policy aspects of the sustainability of soils, groundwater, irrigation. And as Anya's already said, we will do this for the entire globe and also for the 2 focus regions. Next slide, please. And in terms of the time scale, our result will span 2 centuries, as Anya said earlier, essentially producing massive outcomes. So this particular coordination activity or the effort is expected to evolve, but we will begin by sharing the data sets on a need basis to other projects using dedicated platform and in standard format that everybody could use. And we will develop tailored products for scientists across projects and importantly also for stakeholders. I think engagement of stakeholder is an important aspect of all the soil CRA projects. And I feel that all of us work on different kinds of research activities, but when we start thinking of stakeholders, just giving some output to the stakeholders is not always meaningful. And at least based on my interaction with stakeholders, they want something that could be utilized for better and informed decision-making and planning purposes and so on. So we will also put efforts to kind of derive something that will be useful for stakeholders as well. And I think I had one more point, if you could go back. Yeah, and in that process, we hope that in the end, there will be something coming out of these activities as a kind of synthesis and could be a legacy outcome in terms of data and products. Next slide, please, and back to Agnes.
You're mute. You're muted.
Apologies. So the second coordination actions we are proposing to use to gather interested persons, whether they are natural scientists or social scientists or stakeholders, whether they are senior or junior, to elaborate with us plausible options for groundwater and irrigation management, climate change in the regions where the other projects have an expertise we don't have. So it's supposed to be a synergistic work within the entire CRA network. And of course, everything is to be discussed collectively over the 3 years of our CRA. Possible actions include to document key issues for each region. Do they have common grounds? What are the main differences between them? And to eventually elaborate storylines for sustainable management based on the success stories and also the failures that all of you may have documented in your own regions. This is supposed for conveniency to be faced with the CRA meetings and reports. So either outside events of Belmont meetings or using summer schools or dedicated workshops, but with the same phase as the CRA meetings. Next. So basically everything starts now today, if you're interested, at the kickoff meeting. I am officially soliciting you, if you're interested, to join this activity. Of course, since not everyone is here, I invite you to spread the word to your other partners, and this will be done via emails that we will send to you soon. And also, Johan spoke of a forthcoming meeting within one or a few months. So this is the first time of the work. Next, please. Then the idea is to organize exchanges based on real data around the time of the midterm meeting. And next, please. That time could be something like a one-day workshop, probably virtually using Zoom or something. And eventually we would like to organize at the end of term of the CRA, a 2 to 3 day workshop with all people that would have contributing before or just at that time, with also invited experts using the funding we've got. We have an international advisory board of 5 persons with Blue Gem, including the responsible of the groundwater program at UNESCO and other experts. And you could also propose your own experts to help us. And basically that's the proposition we have, and that we can make it evolve based on your own suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. And yes, with the objective of building the community, as Agnes just said, I just would like to emphasize that all of you and all your project consortia are obviously invited to play a role in these activities. that I'm sure will increase the added value of your project and of this CRA. So I would like to briefly present you additional ideas we received from PIs as well. We do think this kind of activities could help to build the community. So I just wanted to have one slide about this suggestion. So we would like to make an inventory of associated stakeholders, and for this purpose, we would like to make a descriptive sheet of stakeholders and make it a booklet, and then share it among all partners of projects funded through this CRA. In this booklet could be described a summary description of their mission, their role in the project, their expectations of the project, or their wish to exchange with stakeholders from other countries or with teams of other projects. We think that this could make emerging subgroups that would have things to share with each others. So for example, water managers, land use planners from different regions, and so on. We also think about an online questionnaire that could be sent to all stakeholders to characterize their vision of the management issue of the critical zone, the issues that interest them, their expectation, and so on. Yes, next slide, please. Okay, so it's time now for 10 minutes for discussion about these activities. So if you have some, I didn't follow the box, the chat box, but I didn't see any question, and I have to change the Google Doc as well. Okay. So yes, I see few comments, but no question. I see new ideas, mainly from Jean-Daniel, if I'm right. Oh, maybe a question right now. Let me go on the chat box.
I think Janet and David have some questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, yes. Sorry. David, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have a question, but also a curiosity or an idea that I have. I'm thinking loud here. So in terms of what has been proposed now, there could be a nice idea, a neat idea. If projects use climate change projections to do the modeling, I think one good idea would be that we use all the same climate projection. I mean, from the same global model, whichever then GCM we choose, we don't need to do all of them, but because sometimes the result of the modeling using different climate projection could lead to different results which be hardly comparable between different projects. But if we, let's say, for example, we're going to use the CMIP6 and we provide that all these downscaled models will be used in our hydrological modeling, whatever other modeling projects do. But if we use the same climate, we reduce some uncertainty in the results of the different projects that will be slightly better compared. I mean, it's not I'm talking about common protocol, but it could be an idea here from the shared management of the different projects.
Can I react to that?
Sure, please go ahead, Agnes.
So in BlueGM, we will be doing 2 climate change projections and retrospective analysis as well. Well, basically at least 2. We will use 2 models, and we will do projections with groundwater and without groundwater, with irrigation and without irrigation. So it will. Some of them will be very much like the CMIP6 projections. We use the same model, but some others will be different. So, and one of the goals of what we have just presented you is to share that. But you have to be aware that will be only with 2 climate models. And usually it's not considered enough to address the uncertainties and the dispersions that come with different climate models. So of course you will be able to use our projections if you want, but I'm not sure it's always necessarily the best way to do that, to use just 2 projections.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. In fact, I was thinking more like in a way that when all the climate models would have been available, then for each site, I'm not going to do 40 models, for example, but I choose them based on a rationale. There is some colleague from NASA, climatologists, to develop a paper how to choose. That was more for agriculture based, but the concept of choosing GCMs in terms of different extremes, rather than picking up the 40 from the uncertainty envelope, you just pick up certain that stands out following certain rules. Because of course, if we pick up the same GCM in all the 3 locations in our case study, we would miss, because maybe the same GCM in different location is not extreme, it will be in the middle, and in a different location is an extreme. So we want to make sure they want to pick up, for example, a hot dry scenario. And this GCM picks up the hot dry, but maybe in Italy does it, in Qatar not. So in Qatar, which GCM picks up the hot dry? So in that case, yes, we would be able, we want to pick up the envelope variability, true. But I was more thinking more about, I mean, if we have all the GCMs, in a same, so I mean, more like a uniform, having the set of the 40 GCM from the same scenario, the same retrospective analysis, which all we can use. And then from there, we just picked up the one that fits our site. So it would definitely be good to use at least your retrospective data, because then we'll have the same baseline at least, potentially. So that's a good starting point.
Thank you, Davide. Janet?
Yes, thank you. I have a question for Blue Gem. It's somewhat curiosity. I found it interesting that you listed participatory mapping and storylines. And I wondered if you could say more about that, because when I think about participatory mapping, I think about 2 things. I think about citizen science and I think about cultural mapping. And I wondered what you meant by participatory mapping. And then what did you mean by storylines?
Yadu, do you want to answer regarding?
Yeah, I can answer the participatory mapping question. So the participatory mapping that we are proposing is in the Mekong River Basin. That is one of our study sites. We have some other projects where we have been doing collaborations between between natural scientists and social scientists. And what we do is we have, for example, I do hydrological modeling. I produce some results, and the social scientists go to the field and talk to local communities, and they saw some of these outcomes and try to understand what has happened in the past has been kind of realized by the communities, and what is going to come ahead due to climate change, for example, change in water resources, flooding patterns, impact on their livelihood. Is, how are they ready, or are they ready to tackle some of the challenges? So we kind of bring together the results from modeling and then go to the field and do that survey, and then eventually we develop something together that can be used for even kind of a better management planning, knowing the stakeholder and the community perspective, and then the physical understanding of the system. That is what we did in terms of participatory mapping. And that came from what we already have been doing. And Dan Kramer is the social scientist in our team who was not able to join this meeting today. He would have answered this better than me, but that is the essence of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yadu and Janet. We have the time for a last question, because we want to save time for the question at the end of the meeting, the exchange with you. So one last question, Jean-Daniel.
Yeah, I think we should not only think about scientific added value, in these activities across projects. We should also think about creating a link and added value for stakeholders. And I think we should have two pillars, activities that really focus on stakeholders and creating a link with them. So we need to understand better what are the incentives to participate. You're not going to attract some of the stakeholders to conferences. So that's a comment I wrote in the Google Doc. Maybe we have to think about meeting physically in a very different place. Forget about the conference. They will not feel at ease, some of them, in a world of scientists. They want peer-to-peer interactions. They want to visit things in the field. So the summer school that Tim was presenting is a nice idea. Let's make a summer school for stakeholders in a place that suits stakeholders, where they will learn something, and forget about the conference. We can go to conference in other contexts. So I think there are really two different pillars, two different types of activities, but there is a challenge in bringing our stakeholders together and creating a stakeholder community. Maybe we need to establish a stakeholder committee, and they decide a bit, they are acting in these activities.
Thank you, Jean-Daniel. I think we will move to the conclusion section because for saving time. So I will give the floor to the Belmont Forum Secretariat.
I think this is me. Can we advance? Great. Okay, so I hope that this meeting today has sort of showed you that the Belmont Forum process is a little bit different. You don't just get an award and we'll see you in a few years and hope everything goes well and good luck. But we're here to work with you and to support you and connect you. And somehow when you do that, it cuts off my slide. I don't know. Anyway, it's all right. I can intuit the words that are not there. But so we provide training. We have this kickoff meeting. We have a midterm gathering and an end term gathering to share the lessons learned and the sort of serendipitous moments that you've come across along the way, and to continue to grow these connections and with an eye towards achieving a greater impact, more added value, and ensuring if there are major roadblocks that we can talk through them and help each other to overcome them and not just sort of languish in silence. So to that end, we have a number of milestones along this trajectory. We do have annual reporting, and the system opens the same every year. March 15th, the Belmont Forum Grant Operations system will open. You'll get many reminder emails. They're automated, and the reports are due June 15th. This is so that we can then take that information, review it, understand where the challenges are and what you've been able to accomplish. Be honest in those reports. If there are challenges, share them with us, and there's a question to do that. We do analyze that information that you give to us, and we create a portfolio analysis that we share with the members at the October plenary meeting each year. And that is that element of communication back to their administration to say, this is going well, there's achievement here, and this is not something that individual agencies could have achieved on their own. So continue partnering with Belmont Forum, continue supporting transdisciplinary and international activity. And then we work with the funders in case there are any revisions that need to be made to the template because of things that came up in your sharing with us. Now that is reporting to Belmont Forum. You will be responsible to do any reporting that's required by your individual funders. So this doesn't take the place of that. This is on top of that. But the good news is that once you complete the first report, we copy that over to the next. And so in subsequent years, all you're doing is editing and updating that initial information. And that is just in recognition that this is an additional request on behalf of Belmont. But this is the only way we can get the total project accomplishment and challenge, as we in the Belmont Forum Secretariat do not have access to the national reports. So we appreciate your compliance on that. As well, we are going to have an SRI Congress each year, and we will be announcing at the closing the location of the 2022 Congress, and hope that we can encourage you to submit sessions and workshops and other participatory activities for that Congress. And perhaps we haven't discussed this with the GPC yet, but maybe that's where we could have the midterm meeting to bring you back together. As was also alluded to, and what would be actually your next step in this process is reconvening sometime soon, perhaps in July, for a meeting focused on coordination. And hopefully by then you've had some time to consider what was just shared with you by Yadu and Agnes and Tim and Johan, and think about how you would like to leverage that coordination activity for your project and for wider uptake. In the background, Belmont Forum will create documents, online content, and support the viewers and audience connection with your videos, with your websites, etc. So do please stay in touch. You have Amanda and Megan's email addresses, I'm sure, through this process. And please do let us know as things are developing how we can support you in terms of communication and data management. The logos there on the far side, Trello, Slack, LinkedIn, those are just suggestions, not requirements, but there are ways that we can use digital platforms to stay in touch. So I'm sure that will come up during the coordination discussion of how you would like to stay communicating. So that's it in a nutshell, but needless to say, will be part of your life for the next few years. And don't be afraid to write to us, ask any questions or concerns about activity. And we really like to give this time to you to ask any questions, throwing the door open on the whole program and anything we didn't cover. And I see Tim's hand is already up, so we're turning straight to him.
That was very helpful, but I have a question specific to this Tuesday, because I've been getting a lot of emails and I have logged in, and I'm sure there's 5 other people at least on this call who have been getting a lot of emails. But, you know, really, what is the expectation for the report due on Tuesday? Because, I mean, I can write some stuff, but it isn't a whole lot.
Right. Johan, are you, and Anhelen, are you okay with me speaking about this, or do you want to lead that response?
No, I think you can go ahead. As yes,
I'll take the bullet. No, it's all right. I recognize that some of you are in different stages with funding and kicking off. So for that initial report, you know, if all you can do is fill out the biographical parts, you know, and your expectations, that's fine. I mean, whatever you can communicate at this point is going to help you next year, because that'll be copied over and be already done. But, you know, if part of the challenge is, you know, you haven't been funded yet, or, you know, you can't communicate with your collaborators, you know, put that in that box. It's just an opportunity for you to share with us, you know, with the funders, what's going on. And so, yeah, I think I would view it less as a comprehensive report at this stage, but a reflection of where you are at this point in time. Helpful? I know, I mean, it may turn out to be a lot of blank fields, but the parts that you can get done now will help you later.
Yes, thank you. That's helpful. And can I make a comment, which I'm certain isn't unique, but I wonder if looking out into the future of Belmont, is there a way to synchronize funding between international organizations? You know, because in our case, I'm sure everyone's case, we have some people who are funded, we have some people who are in the midst of getting funded, and we have some people who might not be funded for a couple months.
I mean, we do enter into the partnership with that in mind, that we will do everything we can to synchronize funding. Certainly COVID has put a huge ripple into that, and elections are always fun as well. But it is with the intention of starting off the projects as best as possible. And so, you know, it is unfortunate to have those delays right now. Certainly capture that in your document, but we will be responsive and flexible on our side in terms of trying to schedule further events, and in terms of the reporting. For example, you know, with this calendar of reporting, it doesn't always synchronize with where you are in your activity. And so we can work to extend windows and open things, etc. And Helen?
Maybe just a compliment. We know that this is an issue, especially when you are starting a project. If you have any problem like that and so on, don't hesitate to come back to your to the contact point of your funding agency as well, you know, to see if we can help with that. And we may not be able to, but sometime we can, you know, change a bit the starting date or the end date and so on. So don't hesitate to come as early as possible to us.
Maria?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, you know, we run into this all the time. It's an unfortunate byproduct of how we're set up, but it's also, excuse me, it's also one of the barriers that we had to overcome. And that was I guess the compromise was that we didn't necessarily pool money in a pot, because that would have basically taken out 95% of the funding agencies. So there is a staggered delayed system. And I can say from the United States, thank you, Congress, for finally giving us the last bit of money that we needed to kick this off. So for those of you who are on this call that have funding coming from me, that will be done, and it will be recommended by the end of June, at which point your university has the option to invoke what we call a 90-day pre-spend, which means that any expenses that is done 90 days prior to the start date, you just submit and NSF will pay for it straight away, no questions asked. If it ends up that you have expenses prior to that, submit again, and I will approve those expenses as long as they're consistent with the budget that you had in there. So, you know, don't go charter a plane if you didn't put that in your budget, because I'm not approving that. And your university is going to eat that. So, you know, let's be reasonable about what it is you've put in their budget. But we've done this in the past. Our Division of Financial Management kind of knows who I am because of this. So just rest assured that, you know, the funding will be there. It just takes a little bit of time, especially for us. And Congress didn't do us very well this year by postponing and not rolling out things on time. So I hope that helps, Tim.
Tim?
Yeah, it does help. And just so that I'm clear, I didn't mean it as a complaint or a criticism. I mean, I get that, like, we all do business differently. Thank you for that information.
Wasn't taken as that.
My other question, and please, I don't see any other hands, so I'll just keep asking questions, but is with regard to the consortium agreement. So Johan kindly shared with me an example of one, and so I've, in our case, I can't speak for all the universities or institutions, but at Penn State, for reasons I'm not going to go into right now, we're a pretty risk-averse university, and so I can't just fill that thing out and sign it. It has to go through our research office, and then that gets bumped up to our legal office, and so we're looking at probably months. And in some cases, 5 or 6 years ago, when I've done things like this, it took over a year to get one of those things through Penn State before we could then send it out to the partners and start signing it. And so I'm a little, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm a little concerned that it'll hold things up here at Penn State. And I'm just curious if, is there any, like, is the thing I have, is it like a standard agreed upon by Belmont? This is the way we should do it? Because once I get this ball rolling here, I mean, I'm committed. It's going to be hard to get out. Anyway, so could you just talk generally to the consortium agreements? And
Yes, I actually pinged Johan in the chat about this. Would you like to comment?
Yes, actually, the consortium agreement is a requirement from funding agencies, not from the Belmont Forum. It depends on each funding agency, and I can only speak on behalf of the French National Agency. So for us, it's not a mandatory document. It's we encourage to have this kind of document, especially when we have enterprise, private sector involved in the project, and obviously the project could start can start without a consortium agreement. Yes, but once again it's a national requirement. So I can only speak about ANR, and some other will not speak at all about consortium agreement. And it could be possible for other funding agencies to have this kind of document mandatory. But once again, you have to check with your national contact point and make sure that it is not mandatory. If it is, we could take it. We will find a solution.
Just to make clear, I understood that, for example, ANR will not deliver any funding as long as this is not signed. So even if it's not a problem for the Americans, it is a problem for us because you will not pay us until we have this agreement. So I think things have to be clear. Yes, I have to check this, but I don't think it's a mandatory first. We encourage to have this kind of document to protect the intellectual property and so on, but that will not block the payment.
And I think Johan's recommendation there to contact your national representative when you have a question like this is probably the best one, because they can speak on behalf of what they require or not. And if it becomes something that has to have a group discussion, ANR is the thematic program office. I'm not sure if you've heard this terminology before, the TPO, thematic program office. So they coordinated the entire delivery of the call, and they administer the steps as we move ahead. So if it has to get group discussion, ANR will be the one to help, sort that out. And yes?
Yes, it's again on the consortium agreement, because since there are not so many funding agencies, so couldn't you on your side make the synthesis of which funding agency requires strictly a consortium agreement, in which situation? When I asked to Johan for France, he told me it was not mandatory if there was no private partner. Jean-Daniel has just said that for him, he thought it was mandatory anyway. And besides, we all have several funding agencies to deal with. So could you do that synthesis, please, for us?
I think, Johan, go ahead.
We can do that, but what I wanted to highlight is that each funding agencies have their own regulation, not only about the consortium agreement. So once again, it's important to contact the national contact point and to know what are the requirements they ask. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we could do that for the consortium agreement.
Thanks. Maria?
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe that's a suggestion moving forward for, in our national annexes, to actually put in information, or maybe not in the annex, but information to the consortium when we make an award from the Belmont Forum, as if the funding agencies are able to provide when they don't need a consortium agreement. That might help more to the point of what Agnes was saying. So that's something we might want to consider moving forward. And I can tell you from the US, we don't, it's not a requirement for us, so.
Well, and so in that case where there's partners where one funding agency requires it and another doesn't, what's the best way to proceed? So is it that in this case, the ANR funded colleague should lead the processing of that? I don't mean that to put it off on all the French colleagues. I just mean,
it's not mandatory. So you can go ahead with your funding. If I'm interpreting this correct, Johan, please correct me if I'm wrong. But if you have partners from ANR has said they don't require this. They encourage it, but they don't require it. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. As far it's not in the core text or nor in the national annexes, it's not mandatory. But once again, it's strongly encouraged. But that will not block the payment.
Okay, so I think what we have here is at least answers from 2 of the funders. If you have questions from other funders, I would reach out to them. Johan and the TPO will try to understand who is requiring, but it's recommended. I think, the idea is just to ensure that the team remains collaborative throughout the entire activity and someone doesn't stray away. Maria, did you have another point?
Yeah, you might want to get together with your team and just put a document together that the PIs sign in good faith, that it's non-legally binding, okay? And what you could do is actually, if you get an award letter from your funding agency, NSF provides that, you could basically just staple those all together and say, this is our agreement. I don't know if that would fly for, because none of these things will be legally binding anyway. So it's not like anything that the Belmont Forum does is voluntary. There's no legal authority that comes in and can basically have one funding agency sue another funding agency. That would never happen. So, you know, in the past, we've had a couple of folks that, you know, needed a consortium agreement, and it has been used in the past that the award letters were actually presented to the other funding agency and they were fine with it. So you might want to try that approach too, if it's, you know, if a requirement has to be there. So Tim, you wouldn't have to send this through legal at your university, because NSF has said, you're going to get this, and then you turn around and say, I'm going to, you know, contribute this. So.
Jean-Daniel, did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I think the consortium agreement, one of the first objectives is to recall who is doing what, and in case one partner is not performing what is committed to do, then the funding agency will not pay. But we do not need to have, so in fact, for that purpose, we do not need anything that is legally binding. It's just, basically it's the proposal we submitted. And if you decide, or if when you check what we've done, you decide that one partner has not performed, then you are not paying. So we do not need a consortium agreement. Then the second part is when we make it a legally binding agreement, we have to specify the jurisdiction where this will be disputed in case it, so then it becomes a legally binding document. We have this for European projects. So for example, I took a European project template and I just adapted it, but it means that in case of a problem, it will be the court of whatever in Belgium. That's what we put. So if this is not feasible, just forget it and let's stick to the description of work.
Yes.
Do without, because it's a lot of work. I agree with Tim, because my lawyers, we also have to look at it. They did it already, but Taiwan National University also, and so on. So we're here for a lot of work.
Yeah, so, and I can tell you from the United States perspective that we did not sign actually the country didn't sign a science and technology agreement with the European Commission because of the jurisdiction in Belgium. So, you know, if you can not bring that into the whole flow, then you're going to be much better off. And then we won't sign it. So, and if you have US partners on your thing, it'll stop the project dead.
Okay, so yes, this is why Belmont Forum does not require this, because we're working in this middle ground space. But it sounds like we have a lot of potential solutions if you have to have one. And yes, I think a copy of your proposal and your award letter, that's your agreement. Any other questions? Because we're getting close on time and we do want to present the poll results. And if you haven't voted, please do. Any other questions on anything? Agnes?
Yes, it's somehow related to the polls. One of the questions is about participation to the next SRI meeting next year. And well, we cannot vote no, actually. And I think it's weird. And besides, I wanted to vote no, and I would like to say why. Because I was quite surprised for that SRI meeting that if not because of the COVID, we would have had to go, all of us, to Australia, where no one of us works. And personally, I'm very concerned by my carbon budget, and I try to cut it down a lot because it's what we are expected to do if we don't want the planet to burn. So I would like well, I would like to know why it doesn't seem to be a concern from the Belmont Forum, which works on sustainability of the planet.
So I'll jump in there to say it was only it was meant to be a fun question to encourage you all to attend SRI 22, which is, you know, a key activity that the Belmont Forum has been planning for many years now, and we continue to plan. So that was just, it was a fun way to say, I really hope that you plan to participate in SRI 2022.
And at least from our perspective, we require each project to budget for 3 international meetings. And those are to attend the kickoff, midterm, and end term. And we recognize that you will participate in other meetings of your choice, internationally or online. And we've heard from and had the experience prior of bringing together cohorts in person for meetings such as this. And people found it extremely valuable to be able to engage in person, to have trainings and meetings. And then the SRI platform is to give the opportunity to not just do that for a few days for one single cohort, but do that across the entire portfolio of Belmont Forum and with other transdisciplinary practitioners and other experts in your area. So we are looking at creating the added value, since you have it budgeted and since it is a requirement, to make sure that if you are going to travel, when you get there, you come away with so much more than when you arrived. So that is our promise to you. And as you see this year, it is a hybrid event. There are people meeting in Brisbane right now because they're able to. Next year, we don't know. You know, we're in this transition stage. We don't know if it will be just online or hybrid. And as well, we're working on creating satellite events. But realistically speaking, we know that our members and our projects like to get together in one place. So we're looking at how do we balance, you know, distance. It's always a far distance for someone, with the desire for a central convening, and where we can all come together and actually lay eyes on one another. It's a behavioral question. It's something of a carbon question. We're working on it and we're innovating each year. So I appreciate your response, and we'll see what 2022 will be like. So stay tuned. David?
Yes, I have a question related to that, more of a side part, because one of our partners from Qatar, and I had from my project someone from Qatar, which I think has to leave if I don't see her here now. But the problem was if this was in person, because when we submitted their problem was when we submitted the proposal, we were asked to indicate which of the 3 conferences. So we actually budgeted, and some of the partners budgeted to attend certain conference because we had to indicate that into the proposal, because when they went to their funder, they say, the Qatar people, they said, okay, we budgeting to attend, let's say, for example, this year, I can't remember where it was the first year, but we said the kickoff meeting will be here. So we budget to send this many people with this much money and so on. When if we had to come to Australia, potentially they didn't have the money to come because what they budgeted was inferior in terms of price for. So their problem, one question they actually asked me, and actually it's a good point out to put it out to you, is like, since they budgeted, I mean, it seems in their case, they budget much more stricter. The funder is much more stricter than national funder in terms of saying, you say that next year you're going to EGU in Austria, for example. I don't know where it's going to be next EGU. So why now you need to go to US, for example? So they're going to have this problem, it seems to me, or they might have this problem. To know for sure, I will talk to them next week actually about this as well, about other problems as well. But this will be one topic we talk next week. So do you have any suggestion I can tell to my partner from Qatar about this?
So the QNRF program director is part of this group of program coordinators that make up this call. So when it's GPC for short, so sorry for the acronyms, but when those funders come together to talk about SRI 2022 and to talk about the midterm, they'll have that discussion together. And, you know, if they set that the meeting is at SRI 2022, then, and that's not in the budget that was prepared by the Qatari scientists, then there can be a discussion between that funder and the awardee. So I wouldn't worry about those level of details just yet. Let's figure it out first and have that discussion. But you know, the general theme was to budget for, you know, a global meeting and ensure that you could go for so many days. I recognize personally with COVID that prices of airline tickets have changed significantly. So, you know, I think this is a flowing discussion, and we will monitor it, but we are aware of these challenges, and we are having those discussions already regarding SRI 2022. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, I will notify my partner. They were a bit worried about this thing. They know that sometimes there could be less flexibility on the part. So thanks for clarifying that.
We would like them to be there, and we will do our best to make it possible.
Erica,
Okay. Yes, Tim, back to Tim.
are
Sorry.
you aware that the SRI meeting, that is the Society for Reproductive Investigation, is already scheduled for Denver in 2022?
Yes, yes, we know all about this, you know, but you have to realize, go way back 10 years or more, the Belmont Forum was a mall in Perth, Australia. Okay, so if you Googled Belmont Forum, you were going to a mall. So, you know, give it some time. We'll come to the top of the Google queue, you know, I'm not worried about that. You know, it's also, you know, the name of religious leaders in India. So we get a lot of fun Google responses when you look it up, but we're not changing the name. We're good. Okay, maybe I turn it to Amanda. She's got the poll responses.
All right, so I just wanted to show you the responses to the poll. So we had asked this first question about your favorite way to communicate across dispersed teams. And so we have 35% saying email. The next highest fraction is Slack. So that's, you know, some good information for us to know going forward. It seems some folks have used Facebook groups, pretty big chunk using LinkedIn groups, Microsoft Teams. So, you know, this is something we'll talk about through the coordination going forward. Next, I think this one's really interesting. We're asking about if this is the first time that you're participating in a worldwide sustainability project. And we overwhelmingly, you know, more than 50% said yes. So we have 67% who this is a whole new ball game for them. We're working together in global scale. So that's really exciting. Of course, everyone's favorite question here, do they want to participate in SRI 2022 next year? And my favorite, which is that it will be an excellent opportunity to connect, share ideas, and follow up on our projects. So the answer is yes, but of course, we're not going to hold you to that. We just hope that that we'll see you there. So those are our polls. Thank you so much for participating in them. I will kick it back to Erica.
I think we're at the top of our hour, and that means the end of our kickoff together. I hope that you have connected with some new team members in this cohort, that you've connected with your funders and asked, you know, pressing questions, that you might join us for the training tomorrow on transdisciplinarity and data management. It will be a great session. These are some excellent speakers with some new ideas. And I hope you'll enjoy the SRI Congress. Please do go out and explore. You know, if you've missed some sessions, our content is running 24 hours a day, hence all of my sad eyes. But you know, we're recording things, go rewatch things, get into the conversation. This is an opportunity to expand your global reach. I guess as this is the end of soils, let me turn it to Johan as the TPO to bring it home.
Thank you, Erica. And I would like to thank you all for the content you sent prior the meeting and for participating in this event despite the late or early hour in your place, especially a meeting on Sunday. So yes, and I would like to warmly thank also the Belmont Forum Secretariat and the coordination team for the work done to prepare this meeting. And to conclude, I would like to wish you a great SRI 2021 Congress. I'm sure you will attend great sessions and enjoy the fantastic program of this Congress. And yes, and as I told you earlier, don't forget to fill the poll I will send you in coming days to schedule the second meeting. And I swear that will not be on a Sunday. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, everyone.
everyone. So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.